That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Neil Gaiman's Sandman World's End. I actually don't have a ton to say about this. I thought it was good. It's always good. It's always great, for that matter. But basically what's going on here is you have a guy who is driving late at night. He's suddenly in a storm, a snowstorm in the middle of June, and he sees some kind of weird animal in the middle of the road and swerves his car and runs into a tree. Uh, and he and this girl that he'd been driving with, they go into an inn that's nearby, just like an old-fashioned, like, inn, I-N-N. And they're just a bunch of people there, and they're all there because of a storm, and they all start telling stories to pass the time. So it's basically Canterbury Tales. Once again, Sandman is literature. Like it is almost essentially the Canterbury Tales, where everyone's just got a story to tell, and they all tell their story, and it's all just meant to pass the time while they wait to get to their inevitable goal. And there's a lot of stuff still in here about death, but that's not really the focus this time. There's some interesting stuff here and there. There's some just kind of fun, neat stories. One of my favorite characters from this series, Rob Hadling, or Gadling. There we go, Gadling. Rob Gadling makes an appearance, which is kind of fun to see. He's in a whole issue. There's a cool story about immortality, little Indian myth thing that I really liked. I'll read you that just for shits and grins, if you don't mind. There's a story about a city dreaming, and the fear of what would happen if a city were to wake up. That was really cool. There's some political intrigue and stuff with the fairy people come back. And Gaiman must really have a love for that particular kind of mythology, because he brings them in a lot, which is kind of neat. Where is it? Okay, I'm on the story, and I just have to find the story within. That's the other funny thing, is there are a lot of stories within stories in this, so that was kind of cool. Alright. Once there was a king who had a wife whom he loved more than life itself. More than life itself. This is no pretty turn of phrase. Listen. One day there came an holy man to the palace. He was as thin as a scarecrow, his beard white as pearl, his skin blackened and gnarled like burnt wood by the sun. He demanded to see the king. The guards refused him entry, whereupon he took a knife from his loincloth, and, with one hard swipe, he cut off his left hand at the wrist. They were most astonished by this action, more so when they realized there was no blood issuing from the wound. The holy man picked up his hand, which was crawling around the dust, scuttling and skirting like a scorpion, and fastened it once more to his wrist with a mystic gesture. Magically, he was whole again. Now, he said, take me to your king. And they did. Light of the gods on earth, he began. I am, as you can see, a holy man, and I have, through trials undreamed of, and through alchemy and through prayer, obtained for myself this fruit. In appearance it partakes of both the fig and the apple. It is, however, the fruit of life, and whoever eats of it shall live forever. So why do you not eat of it? Asked the king, who is nobody's fool but his own. For 3 reasons. Firstly, I'm an old man. Immortality should be given to the young and those in good health. Secondly, I desire to remain upon the chimeric wheel of death and rebirth on my path to eventual rewards of far greater than living forever. And thirdly, I am too scared to taste of it. How can you assure me, asked the king, that this is not poisonous, that you are not tricking me? The old man ordered a mongoose brought to him, and fed it with his hands a tiniest slice of the fruit. Then he ordered a fire kindled, and the animal tossed into the furnace. In time the fire burned down, and the king saw the mongoose questing about inside, unharmed by the flames. Then the king knew that the man was telling him the truth, and he took the fruit with thanks. He ordered that gold be brought for the holy man, but the holy man refused it and went on his way. The prince pondered the gift of immortality. Now he had a wife whom he loved, as I said, more than life itself, for he decided that this wife should receive the gift of the fruit, and not him. That night he suited deed to word, and gave his wife the fruit of life. Alas, his wife was as unfaithful as any woman, and she had a lover, who was a captain of the palace guard, and that night, because she loved him, she gave her captain the fruit of life. There was a prostitute in the town, not a raggedy arse prostitute, but a courtisante, like they had in those days, with whom the captain was infatuated, and whose favors he bought with gems and gold and silver that he got from the queen, and to her he brought the fruit untouched. She was very beautiful, but she was uncertain enough of the fruit and of its provenance, and desirous enough of earthly reward to hie herself to the palace. She offered the fruit to the king. He took it from her, and once she had told him how she had obtained it, ordered her to be rewarded. Then he had the queen and her lover brought to him, and he had them both killed, without torture though, for he had loved her more than life itself. He dressed himself in clothes of the poorest beggar in his realm, and making his brother king in his stead, he left the palace. He ate the fruit and walked out of the city into the desert, never to be seen again. So that's a really good story, and then we're of course revealed that the guy that's telling the story, who is an Indian gentleman, is of course the king that ate the fruit, and he's good friends with Gadling that had, they'd interacted over the centuries. Anyway, the ship in that story is kind of caught in doldrums, and then we get this amazing splash page as the doldrums end. And that was really cool. But there's not a ton to really say about this issue. It's got some underlying themes and stuff to it, but nothing super deep or anything like that. It's more just about the importance of stories and how you can truly be wrapped up in a story. So I don't have much to say about that. Yeah, we get 3 stories within one story in this other issue. It's just the importance of stories, and I'm sitting here talking about stories. I told you a story, so that's the importance of stories. How you can lose yourself in a story. There's some great descriptions about death in this that I really love, but ultimately I don't have much to say about this. It's damn good. But it is essentially Canterbury Tales. It's people telling stories to pass time while they're on their way somewhere. While they're at the inn at World's End. Really good, really beautiful stuff though. Did get choked up once or twice. I thought it was, it's amazing, like all of Sandman has been thus far. So seriously, if you haven't read Sandman, this is something where you don't really need to... This might be a good jumping on point for Sandman, or just something to pick up if you're kind of unsure about Sandman and you don't really want to worry about the rest of the continuity or who's this and how everyone's related to each other. You can just pick this up. Everything in this reads perfectly well on its own, and it gives you a taste of the quality of writing and the variety of worlds and characters that you'll meet. I doubt any of these characters are going to be coming back, except for Gadling and maybe the Indian King as well. But if they do, I'd certainly be happy to see them. But their story for now is perfectly satisfied. So yeah, if you just want like something that's not super deep, you can pick this up, and it's just really interesting, really fascinating stories that people are telling, and stories within stories within stories and stuff like that. So give it a shot. It's Sandman. It's amazing. Just believe me.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.